A popular social media platform is focusing on a more diverse user experience, one photo at a time. Snap Inc., the company behind the app Snapchat, is looking to make its cameras more capable of recognizing and capturing a wide range of skin tones. Ina Fried, writer, writes about this in a piece for Axios titled Inside Snapchat's Push to Make Cameras More Inclusive. Ina joins me now. Ina is the chief technology correspondent for Axios. Ina, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. So can you explain to us how this new inclusive camera will work? What are some techniques that Snap is using to develop this?
Well, first you have to go back just a little bit to the sort of racist history of the camera, which is not widely understood. But, when the film camera was developed, it was developed with the idea of optimizing for white skin tones. And so film cameras were actually never very good at capturing darker skin tone. That improved over the years, but some of that legacy continued into the digital era. You had cameras from HP and Microsoft that weren't very good at detecting faces when there were darker skin. So what Snapchat wants to do is basically make this a priority, especially in the era of machine learning, where computers can help us do all kinds of things, but we have to make sure they do it. So what Snapchat wants to do, first and foremost, is make sure that its camera works well across a wide range of skin tones. But that's really a first step to really undoing a long racist legacy of the camera. And they have other things that are already on the roadmap.
Yeah, it is fascinating, Ina. I didn't really think about that until I read your piece about how there's a literal chemical formula that had to be put into place when cameras first came out, right? And that was actually, of course, adjusted for the most common subjects at the time, who were white. And so that's what you're talking about when you talk about sort of the history here and the legacy that we still see today. So you talk about Snapchat's initiative going beyond just recognizing darker complexions. What are some of the other steps that officials are considering?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, when it comes to race, there's other decisions that get made. So oftentimes skin will get lightened in the name of capturing it better. But what we all want to do is be seen as ourselves. That sends the message that your skin tone, if it's dark, isn't appropriate, isn't right, isn't equal. And so they want to change that. Also, things that are often done automatically, narrowing noses, other things that really imbue the digital era with sexist and racist notions. And then some of it is, we talked about inclusivity, some of it is helping people. So I wear glasses, for example. Very few filters will keep my glasses the way they are and apply the filter to the rest of my face. And that's the kind of thing, billions of people, I'm sure, wear glasses around the world, but also people with disabilities that might use assistive aids, being able to include the assistive aids as they are, but allow them to take full advantage of all those fun filters that we all love, whether it's a cat nose or different types of things like that.
So, Ina, how far along is the development of this new camera? Do we have an idea of when users can expect to see these changes?
I think some of them are fairly close. Others will take a lot longer. I think they've been working on the skin tone part for a while and have some technologies that aren't that far off. I think some of the other things, the glasses, it's actually a tough problem with the occlusion, to be able to keep an object and imagine what's underneath. But I think we'll see progress on all of those. Again, the other piece of this is really making sure that the algorithms are working for fairness. And what I mean by that is a computer will optimize for what you tell it to do. So if you tell it to make the average person just look better, that's exactly what it'll do. Versus if you say, we want everyone to be above a sort of certain threshold, that will produce a more equitable outcome.
Well, and you mentioned that Snap is looking to potentially share this new technology with outside developers. How could this change the landscape for camera apps more broadly moving forward?
Well, I think there's hope that, if they find some techniques that work really well, that they would do it, and share some of those techniques broadly. Certainly an interim step. A lot of developers build on top of Snap's camera, and I think they would be more likely as a first step than Snapchat simply giving its camera technology to the world. But the tech industry tends to move pretty quickly, and I think if Snap has success, others will follow, whether it's using Snap's exact technology or simply fixing it in their own way.
You mentioned filters a moment ago. Snapchat has a controversial history with some of its filters. How is Snap looking to avoid similar mistakes in the future?
Yeah, so you bring this up, and it was one of the first things I said to them. Look, you're talking about solving a really hard problem when you guys have stumbled on some pretty simple stuff. So several years back, they had a reggae filter for 420 that was essentially digital blackface. Apologized for that, said they learned from it. And then last year for Juneteenth, they had a filter that many people also found offensive, where it encouraged people to smile and break free from the chains. Both of those were things they quickly apologized for. They say they now have much better processes in place. Certainly, they'll need that just to maintain sort of where they are. And they get that they're, even as they've stumbled while walking, they want to really try and run here and really be out in front leading with something. And I think certainly recognizing the problems and focusing on them, is commendable. But obviously, you have to get the easy stuff right, too.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see when this rollout actually happens, how those various features are actually put into the platform and who gets to decide. Because obviously there's been so much discussion of, who's at the table when you're actually designing these things. So we'll see what comes of it. Ina Fried for us. Ina, thank you very much.
Thank you.